My name is Allison Miner, and I am the Quality Assurance Manager at FIU Online. This short video presentation will introduce you to the concept of alignment, the importance of measurable learning objectives, and show you how to apply this concept to the development or revision of your online course. This evaluation by a student is amusing, but it is often true. This situation may have occurred because the course was not aligned. What the instructor had in mind was not adequately relayed to students. According to dictionary.com, alignment is the state of agreement or cooperation among persons, groups, or nations with a common cause or viewpoint. You should see your syllabus as such an agreement. This agreement specifies the learning that will take place in your course. Quality Matters is a nationally recognized, faculty-centered peer review process designed to certify the quality of online course design and online components. Quality Matters defines alignment as critical course components that work together to ensure students achieve the desired learning outcomes. Alignment is important because a course that is not aligned is fragmented. When a course is fragmented, it is ineffective for learning. Misalignment causes frustration and leads to both attrition and poor grades. Critical course components begin with the broad learning objectives. Instructional activities should directly reflect the action described in the learning objective. Course objectives guide the selection of resources and materials, technology, and the assessments. Carefully aligning assessments with the learning objectives will help you avoid receiving a student evaluation such as that in the previous slide. See if you can answer this question. Alignment is A, the connection between learning objectives, learning activities, and assessment. B, self-guided, self-disciplined thinking, which attempts to reason at the highest level of quality. C, of or pertaining to something that can be known. Or D, capable of being measured. If you answered A, the connection between learning objectives, learning activities, and assessments, you are correct. Great job. Alignment begins with measurable course level objectives. They help students reach the goal you have set. However, very often course learning objectives are not being measured, instructional activities are not specified in the learning objectives, or the learning objectives simply are not measurable. As an example, this learning objective is too broad. Students do not understand what you mean by understand. Understand is broad and encompasses all the knowledge that one can have about your particular discipline. Understand involves many component skills. As an example, writing an essay involves many discrete skills that you may understand, but students won't know how to begin. To help them fulfill the objectives of write an essay on a current issue, you may break this down into component parts such as identify a current issue, compare different viewpoints, summarize these viewpoints. In this way, students have a better roadmap to what you want them to accomplish. Learning objectives are brief, clear, specific, and measurable statements that describe the learning that needs to occur at the end of the instructional activity. There are two types of learning objectives you will need to create. Course level objectives define what a student will know and is able to do at the completion of the course, while module level objectives define what a student will know and is able to do at the completion of a module or unit. Module level objectives should flow from course level objectives. They must align. There are three common characteristics of writing learning objectives. You must specify the conditions under which students are able to perform this task, the performance, which is what the student will be able to do, and the criterion clarifies the terms of the performance. Time for another question. What is the main reason it is not a good idea to use the term understand as part of your objectives for students? It's too narrow and involves very few component skills. It's too low on Bloom's taxonomy. It's too broad and involves the synthesis of many component skills. 4. No critical thinking is required. If you answer 3, it's too broad and involves the synthesis of many component skills, you are correct. Great job. Benjamin Bloom was an educational psychologist who, along with his colleagues, developed a theory that you can observe knowledge occurring in the brain, which is cognitive activity. Bloom theorized that there are 6 domains of knowledge. These include remembering, understanding, application, analysis, evaluation, and creation, and they are in order from lower to higher level of cognition. A best practice is to include all levels, beginning with the lowest level and working to the higher level as the course advances. This list of measurable verbs describes the 6 domains of learning. I keep a list such as this handy whenever I am creating learning objectives. These verbs cannot be measured, and you should stay away from using these terms when developing or adjusting your learning objectives. Verbs such as understand, know, learn, or crystallize cannot be observed, and the meaning is not clear to students. Stay away from these qualifiers as well, since they are not well defined either. Let's see if you have a grasp on Bloom's taxonomy. Which of the following learning objectives measures the highest level of cognition in Bloom's taxonomy? 1. List the 3 major causes of the Civil War. 2. Produce a persuasive essay that takes a stand for or against a contemporary issue in society. 3. Evaluate visual storytelling in terms of plot, character, and theme. 4. Graph functions using transformations. Or 5. Revise a sentence in future tense with no errors in tense or tense contradiction. If you answer 2, produce a persuasive essay which takes a stand for or against a contemporary issue in society, you are correct. Great job. A table of course objectives and the corresponding module level objectives is a good place to begin. This way, you will know what you want your students to accomplish broadly and specifically. Next, you can begin to populate your table with the learning activities that will help your students practice. Learning resources and materials and course technologies should help your students complete the activity successfully. A summative assessment is utilized to confirm learning. It can consist of tests, essays, group projects, or video presentations. Here are examples of misalignment. The course objectives say that students will be able to compare and critique the arguments of different authors, but the activity is to summarize the arguments of different authors. The second example says the course objective is to create a plan of action, but the activity is to identify the components of an action plan. Now for the last question. Which of the following learning objectives are not measurable? A. Know the meaning of critical thinking. B. Edit a draft of an essay. C. Summarize the plot of a movie. D. Appreciate the nuances of subcultures. Or E. Master the art of tango. If you answered A, D, and E, you are correct. Great job. Once you have aligned your learning objectives to your learner activities, your resources, technology, and assessments, students will have a clear pathway to reach the goals you have set for them at the beginning of the course. This is the end of the presentation.